This is Gemar Nazir Daf Mem Vav. Today's shiur has been sponsored as an incredible Zchos Refuah Shlema for Menachem Aron ben Ita Malka, a young man who unfortunately had a heart attack. Baruch Hashem, he is doing well and recovering. The Zchos HaTorah should bring Menachem Aron ben Ita Malka a complete Refuah Shlema. We're holding on the bottom of Memhei Amid Beis at the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, Hayam Mavashal es Hashlamim, and we continue the process of a Nazir becoming Tahar, Tahira, and finally today we'll have the Nazir exiting his Nazirus and becoming allowed to be drinking wine, etc. So if you're Mavashal es Hashlamim, you're cooking the Shlamim Oishalkan, Hakayin, or you overcook it, or Yishalkan, Hakayin Naitil es Azarayas. What happens after you cook the shlamim? The kohen takes the zuraya, the foreleg, bashla that is cooked, mina ayil from the ram, and he takes as well v'chala matzah achas, one matzah minasal from the basket, or a kik matzah achas and one wafer from the basket. So he takes three entities, a chala matzah, or a kik matzah, and the zuraya of the shlamim, v'noisen al kapei nazir. He takes the palms, the hands of the nazir, and he places these three items on his hands, umanifin, and he performs hanafa, the waving process. And after this is the final step, and then hutar nazir lishtois yayin uletamil mesim. After this step, the Nazir is no longer considered a Nazir, and then he is allowed to drink wine. He's allowed to become Tamei Meis. And we turn over to Mem Vavam and Aleph, today's daf, as the Gemara continues, the Mishnah continues, that Rav Shimon Aimer says, Rav Shimon, Kivan Shenizr Kalav Echa Min Adamim Ashita, that we've seen already. Rav Shimon says, you don't have to wait all the way to the end. Rather, once the zrika of one of the three karbanos is done, hutar nazir lishtais biyayin u'latamil mesim, that is enough to allow the nazir to drink wine and become tamei meis. So machlokes in the Mishnah, Rav Shimon versus the Tanakama, whether you have to wait till the final shlamim and the hanafa, the tenufa of the carbon shlamim with the matzah and the rekik, or whether zrika of one of the karbanos is enough. So Tana Rabbanan, says the Gemara, a brisa that elaborates slightly more than the Mishnah, va'achar yishta nazir yayin, says the pasuk, and after the nazir could drink wine. Achar ha'maisa kulam divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer darshins, what's the achar? After the entire situation, after the entire procedure, similar to the Tanakam of our Mishnah. Just like Rav Shimon, achar maisa yechidi. No, after one action, after one zrika is enough. As the Rivan over here points out, even though you didn't do the giluach yet, you only did the zrika of one carbon, that is enough. Says the Gemara, Rav Shimon, the Rav Eliezer taught us v'achar, learning on achar everything. So what do the Rabbanan say? Over here it says v'achar yishta nazir night. But says the Chachamim, similar to Rav Shimon in the Mishnah, that what does achar mean? Uksiv Hasam, there's another passage that says achar, his gal choy es ha-nizroi. Ma asam achar maisi yechidi. Just like in the second pasuk, achar is gal choy, is after one action, the action of shaving. Afkan, so to over here, achar maisi yechidi, after one action, and you do not have to wait until the completion of all the karbanis, the tenufa, etc. Ask the Gemara 1 second. But the shaving only happened after what? The shaving only happened after the karbanis. So asks the Gemara, maybe when it says achar is galchay, that should mean after the shaving, but the shaving is only after the karbanis. So maybe this pasuk gufa should teach you that it's not just one action, it's after the whole procedure. Answers the Gemara, Yachi Gzeira Shava Lamali. Then why do we need Gzeira Shava? And what does that mean? Let's explain. A Gzeira Shava of Achar is a Messiah that the Rabbanan had, that there is a Gzeira Shava, there is a limud, one of the Yud Gimel Midais, that teaches us what? That this word acher is teaching us Gzeir Shava. So if it was just learning out acher is kalchay after the whole procedure, say the Chacham, there's no Gzeir Shava. So what would the Messiah that taught us that there's a Gzeir Shava for? And that's what the Chacham learned out, acher maisa yechidi. And with that, 3 lines from the white lines, Mevavim and Aleph, says the Gemara, we change topic slightly, within the topic, of course. Amar Rav, Tenufa ben Nazir ma'akavis. Says Rav, we mentioned in the Mishnah, Tenufa, we mentioned waving the karbanos. Says Rav, that is ma'akiv. Asks the Gemara, Aliba Deman, who is Rav going according to? Im leima aliba de Rabbanan. If you're going to tell me it's going to according to the Rabbanan, Tiglachas am Rabbanan lo ma'akva. Tenufa mi bai. I don't understand. It's pashit. If the Rabbanan know that the tiklachas is not ma'akiv, that even the shaving of the head is not ma'akiv, is not hold back the completion of the Nazirus, certainly the tenufa will not. So what would the chiddush be? El aliba de Rav Eliezer must be is going within the opinion of Rav Eliezer. But if that is true, pshita, then it is pashit. Pshita, Hamar Rav Eliezer achar ma'aseh kulam. So of course, Rav is teaching us that tenufa is ma'akiv. Excuse me, I read the Gemara wrong. Let's go back a second. Would it make no sense? Rav is teaching us that tenufa is ma'akiv. So the Rabbanan are going to hold that tiglachas is not ma'akiv and tenufa is yes ma'akiv? How could that be? That cannot be. So rather, what's the reason? As on the Rush over here on the side of the page explains that the tenuf, the tiglachas is on the Nazir himself. So that's more intrinsic. And if the Chacham hold even that is not integral, certainly the tenufa, the waving, which is external to his body, can't be ma'akiv. So now, fine. So can't be the Rabban. Must be Rav Eliezer. Now Gemara says that's pashik, because Rav Eliezer says you have to do the whole procedure. So of course the tenufa is going to be critical and it's ma'akiv. Answers the Gemara, Ma'u the Tema, I would have thought, Kim the Kapara, Shari Mitzvahi. Since with regard to the Kapara, with regard to getting the atonement, the waving, the Tenufa is only Shiari Mitzvah. It's an auxiliary part of the Mitzvah. It's not essential. So maybe it's not Ma'akiv. Kamash Milan, then according to Rav Eliezer, Rav is teaching us that no, the Tenufa might not be integral to the Kapara, but it is integral to the Nazirus process. Great. So the Shita of Rav, that is teaching us that the tenufa is ma'akev, says the Gemara is going according to whom? Is going according to Shitas Rav Eliezer. And with that we turn over to Menvav Amid Beis. And now the Gemara, once we figured out who Shita Rav is going according to, like we just said, it is Rav Eliezer. Now ask the Gemara, is it actually true that the tenufa is ma'akev? Umi ma'akva, v'atani, we've learned in the Raisa, top line, Menvav Amid Beis. Zois Tairas and Nazir. This is the Torah of the Nazir. Bein sheyesh lekapayim, bein she'ein lekapayim. Whether the Nazir has kapayim or not, whether he has palms, then the halacha is it's the same thing. What does it mean? It's the same thing. It means that you're even able to finish your Nazirs without a palm. How can you finish your Nazirs without a palm? Seemingly, what it's teaching us is that the tenufa, if you look at the top second line of the Rivan, is teaching us that the tenufa is not ma'akiv, because you need to have a hand to do the tenufa, to do the waving. And if we're learning out Zoyis Tairas and Nazir to teach me whether he has hands, palms or not, seems the tenufa is not ma'akiv. Asks the Gemara back. So again, that's a kasha on Rav. So the Gemara responds back, based on what you just said, the following brisa is a question. Zoyster and Nazir, we learn out from here, being sheish lasar, being she'in lasar, whether he has here or not. Hachanami d'lei ma'akva. Are you going to tell me the same thing, that whether he has here or not, it is not ma'akiv? Meaning, the way you just learned, being sheish l'kapayim, being she'in l'kapayim, is what? That having hands is not ma'akiv. The tenufa is not ma'akiv. So similarly, we should learn that hair is not ma'akiv. But that can't be. Vatanya Nazir memoira to Paul the Nazir. Beishami oimrim ein tzarich lavetar al roshei. Says Beishami, you're right. You don't have to do anything. He's bald. Beis Hillel oimrim, no. Tzarich lavetar al roshei. So Beis Hillel clearly is learning that it's an integral component, even with the Josh of Zois Teres and Nazir. Bein sheish l'sar, bein shein l'sar. Beis Hillel is holding it's integral. So how can you tell me that bein sheish l'kabayim, bein shein l'kabayim, that the tenufa is not integral? Ravina explained, my ein lo tzarich. What does Beis Hillel mean? What does Beis Shammai mean? Excuse me, when he says ein lo tzarich. Le Beis Shammai ein lo tzarich, ein lo takana. There's nothing he could do. Ha le Beis Hillel, yesh lo takana. Clearly Beis Hillel is learning that there is a takana. So if there is a takana, what does that mean? That he has to put maybe tar al roshai, and he has to do it. So what do we see? We see that equating a Nazir with Sar to bald Nazir does not mean that it's not critical. It means it is critical. So too, we should say the same thing. Bein sheish l'kabayim, bein shein l'kabayim. Answers the Gemara. V'hainu de Rav Pedas. This din of Beis Shammai is like Rav Pedas. The Rav Pedas, Beis Shammai, Rav Eliezer, Amru davar echad. Rav Pedas explains, Beis Shammai and Rav Eliezer are saying the same thing. My Rav Eliezer, what is this Rav Eliezer that the Gemara is referencing? Titanya, we learned in our Braisa, ein loy bayin yad v'regel, if the mitzayir does not have a big thumb or big toe, a thumb or a big toe, ein loy tahira lamas, he can never become tahor. Different Rav Eliezer. Rav Shimon Omer says Rav Shimon, no. Yani chenu al mekoymoi v'yotza. He's yotza by putting it on the place of his thumb if he doesn't have a thumb. Chachamim are min yachenu al shel smo. He put on the left hand v'yotza and he's yotze with that. So this is the shita of Rav Eliezer that Beis Shammai is referring to. What's Beis Shammai referring to? That if you just like if you don't have a thumb, Rav Eliezer holds the Messiah has no way of getting out of it saras because you have to place on his thumb. So too, Beis Shammai holds if he doesn't have hair, there's no way to leave the Nazirus. But the point of the Gemara that we're concluding is that the din that we said, Rav's din, according to Rav Eliezer, stands the test of time. That Tenufa bin Nazir is indeed ma'akev according to Rav Eliezer. The question that we asked is Zois Teres and Nazir. The Gemara proves is not a question from the fact that we go with Beis Hillel that tzarich laver tar al roshai. Lishna achrina says the Gemara. Another way of learning the previous conversation. Amrila Amarav Tenufa bin Nazir ma'akeves. So now Rav says Tenufa bin Nazir is ma'akev. Just like Rav taught us on the bottom of Memvav Amid Aleph, that what? Tenufa ben Nazir ma'akeves. And now the Gemara goes to the same shakla v'tarya. Aliba Timhan. Who is Rav going according to when he says that Tenufa ben Nazir is ma'akev for about 12 lines from the wide lines? First one line is Tenufa. If he's going with Rav Eliezer, Pshita. Hamer Rav Eliezer acher ma'isa kulam. This is the detail that's changing. In the first lashon, we said according to the Rabbanon, it can't be. According to Rav Eliezer, it's Pshita. And then we explained how it can even be a Chiddush according to Rav Eliezer. Now the Gemara is saying, no, according to Rav Eliezer, it's Pashit. Elamai, according to the Rabbanon. But the question is, the shaving is not ma'akev. Tenufa mibai. So now on that details where it changes in this lashon. Omi loy ma'akva says the Gemara. But is the tenufa not ma'akev even according to the Chachamim? Can't be. V'atanya zois teres Nazir bein sheish kabayim bein shein l'kabayim. Velha the Tanya. So the Gemara retorts. 1 second. Zois teres Nazir bein sheish l'ser bein shein l'ser achanami demakva. Can't be. V'atanya Nazir memayir the bald Nazir bein shamir mein l'sar lavet el rosh bein salam and tzarich. Amar Rav Avina might tzarich lebeis Hillel tzarich vein lo takano. So this is what's changing. Lebeis Shammai yesh lo takano pliga d'Rav Pedas. In the first lashon, Beis Shammai is going with Rav Pedas. The second lashon is going not like Rav Pedas, but either way, Rav's din that a Tenufa bin Nazir is ma'akev stands the test of time. The first lashon is going with Rav Eliezer, the second lashon is going with the Rabbanon. We don't have a question from Seir. I'll pick it up from the Mishnah on the next year. B'siyata Dishmaya.